Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our daily pitching preview show that we do with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, a guy who has had success handicapping baseball this year and going back 27 years professionally. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
All right, we're going to take a look at the card on Sunday, May 3rd. And would you say that, in general, baseball is your most profitable sport? Where does it rank in terms of what you do relative to everything else?
Well, certainly that's where I kind of gained my fame back on the score phones in the 1980s when people would call up the score phones and, basically say they want to feed me grapes, et cetera. I've done very well in all sports, but I will say that without question, the biggest gap between the sharps and the squares is in baseball because the sharpest minds, such as Joe Duffy of OffshoreInsiders.com, know you got to find value with underdogs.
Well, you're not going to find any value as an underdog with Johnny Cueto on Sunday. You might find value with him as a favorite. Very impressive guy, Johnny Cueto. I thought if he was going to have a bad start, maybe it would have been his last one. He was coming off of a high pitch count, 125 pitches, but no, he had an awesome game, went 8 innings through only 85 pitches in his last start. So Johnny Cueto, very impressive. Color me impressed. Now he's going on the road at Atlanta. That's not a terribly difficult assignment. Atlanta has an okay lineup, but nothing terribly special. Atlanta can be a very pitcher-friendly park at times. He's going up against Tehran, who's not getting it done and could be vulnerable. Any reason not to look to bet on Cueto here?
You're right. It's a big pitching mismatch. Tehran has been awful. I mean, he's shown in the past that he's a quality pitcher, but late he has just been struggling so much. Cueto, a very solid pitcher year in and year out ever since he came up a couple years ago as one of the more highly touted young arms. And he did struggle out of the gate early, and he made us money because we like to go against those highly touted pitchers who haven't done anything in the major leagues yet. But he certainly lived up to his hype was so big. Whether or not he's completely lived up to the hype, who knows? But he's proven to be a high-quality pitcher. And the way that Tehran is pitching right now, you're correct. You can't really make a strong argument for Atlanta.
And another guy who's probably going to be a road favorite is Sonny Gray. And in these calls, as you know, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, I've been kind of high on Sonny Gray all year long. It's not a shock that he's been good, that he's been excellent this year. But I still thought that he was a guy who was going to have value at times, and that has proven to be the case so far. He's going to be on the road at Texas. So I'm a little bit concerned. Maybe this is a situation where you want to, not go on him. It's a Sunday day game at Texas. Texas doesn't have, the greatest lineup, of course, but in the daytime at Texas can be a little bit of a different situation for a pitcher like Gray. Then again, Giovanni Gallardo is struggling this year. Better in his last start, though. Still seems to my eye, to be mediocre at best. What's your take on this matchup?
I know you don't like Gallardo. He hasn't pitched extremely well, but he has thrown 26 2/3 innings pitch in his 5 starts as a mediocre ERA. No one's going to disagree with you on Sonny Gray. We know that He's an absolute stud. Certainly, Oakland does have the pitching advantage here, but it is a tough spot going on the road against a pitcher who has pitched pretty well. Not tremendous, but he has pitched pretty well, and he certainly, Texas has gotten a lot of innings out of him. So you're right. That's probably not the absolute best spot for Sonny Gray, but still, all in all, they clearly have the pitching advantage.
Okay, and then let's talk about the Sunday night game. Yankees at Boston, 2 starting pitchers who are hittable, Joe Kelly and Adam Warren. Both of them, can be vulnerable. What will the total be for this one? I don't know, but, Boston has been going over. We haven't been seeing, those like 9.5, 10.5s regularly yet. We might see that later on in the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see 9 in this one at some point. I just think both these guys are going to be vulnerable, more likely than not to get hit. What do you think about that? Pitching matchup where both guys are likely to get hit on Sunday night?
Yeah, and then the post-steroid era, I don't know if we'll see a total that high, but you're right, and here's a perfect example. I think I said in one of the recent videos that we have done that I think strikeouts are very overrated when analyzing pitchers, and Joe Kelly, a perfect example. He's doing great with strikeouts, averaging 10.65 strikeouts per 9 innings this season, but he's got an ERA of 4.94, so it's not like he's been trying. He's actually struggled a little bit more recently. Probably will be a lot of runs scored in this game. Certainly when you're talking about Boston having one of the better bats, I would not be surprised if it is a high-scoring game. Of course, the odds makers are going to anticipate that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see about 10 runs in this game.
All right, and then I want to ask you about one pitching matchup that I might have some people scratching their heads. Doug Fister and Dillon Washington at the Mets. The Mets obviously very surprising, very profitable so far to start the year, particularly at home Is that likely to continue? Obviously, they're going to start losing at home at some point, but will they remain profitable? I don't know. Maybe they are for real. Maybe they will remain profitable, even though not as profitable as they have been. And Doug Fister, there were some people expecting him to be one of the elite pitchers in baseball this year. It hasn't happened so far. And Washington, we know, has a lineup that can be productive. Dillon, sometimes looks like one of the better pitchers in baseball. At other times looks very hittable. What's your take on this matchup? Do you think we can expect a big performance from Fister, or do you think he's actually going to be likely to get hit again here by the Mets?
Yeah, Dillon, he's got a 4.26 ERA, so he hasn't necessarily been a major reason for the success of the Mets. And Doug Fister, very solid ERA of 3.28. I do expect a regression to the mean for the New York Mets. I don't think that they're as good as they've shown so far this year. I would be quite surprised if they are the Cinderella team, and we're talking about them being in playoff contention when we're talking in late July and whatnot. So I do think that Washington does have the pitching advantage here for sure, especially since I'm anticipating the regression to the mean for the Metropolitans.
That's about it for me for Sunday, May 3rd. To wrap up, the only two things I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at Kelly and Warren to get hit in the Sunday night game, and, it's going to be a big favorite line, but my first thought will be bet on another good start from Johnny Cueto. Okay, what else do you want to discuss with us that you think might point us towards betting value in baseball on Sunday?
Well, the Rays' Nathan Karns, he's gotten roughed up. 2 starts to the O's, 8.10 ERA. And the Royals' Justin Vargas struggled against Detroit last year, 1-3 with a 6.18 ERA. And he's not pitching well overall this year. He's got a 5.95 ERA, so not necessarily going to get good value. But I do look for Detroit to light him up pretty well. So, and that's about it for our Sunday stuff.
Joe Duffy's website, once again, offshoreinsiders.com. Thanks so much, Joe. Talk to you again on Monday.